Welcome and good morning. If you're just joining us, this is Cheche and we're live on Citizen TV with the Cabinet Secretary for Water and Irrigation, Eugene Wamawa. Today's conversation centers on the Jubilee government's campaign promise to deliver clean, safe water to every Kenyan. Have they kept their promise? Now, you've been saying that in some areas you have done well, maybe not necessarily kept the promise, but made good progress towards that. In some areas you're below target. Let me remind you of some of the specific promises that were made, and you can give us a quick, yes or no, we've achieved that or not. Water, the coalition government will make water policy more accountable and stamp out corruption by combining the current 8 regional water service boards into a single national water services authority with devolved units at county level. Yes or no?
I would say yes with the passing of the water bill, because that will provide the necessary legal infrastructure now.
Okay.
But is that the direction, though, that we're going? One body, one national authority, and the county level? Given what we discussed much earlier about the regional
tensions,
boards, water boards.
Yes, there will be national bodies that would manage the national issues. Then there will be the devolved function that will go to the county. So what the law gives us is now a basis for engineering of these institutions and strengthening the institutions so that we have clear-cut mandates. And every institution is clear on what they should, what role they should play.
I'll skip the next two because they all relate to the WSA board, which you only passed the act yesterday. There is increasing investment in the 117 water service providers by allowing public-private partnerships.
I think that has been encouraged, and we want to see more private sector involvement in the water sector. Also the issue of financing. We would like to see more investment coming from the private sector. This is one area we're encouraging, and we're happy with the engagement with the private sector so far and the interest shown so far. Improve
the funding of water infrastructure by obliging counties to contribute through their new CIFs in addition to the current service levy on WSP.
I would say it's work in progress, and with the passing of the new law we'll have further engagements.
Give the Water Services Regulatory Board, WASREB, the power to place a cap on water tariffs.
That has been a challenge. There are areas where there are still complaints of very high tariffs, and
in fact, one of the questions was, why is water more expensive than electricity?
That is correct. I think it is something that needs to be addressed, because access also includes affordability. So even if we supplied huge quantities and they were unaffordable, it means water will still be inaccessible. So it's an area we are addressing. It's an area that came up when we were in Nyahururu. The people in Nyandarua are complaining that there are higher tariffs on the Nyandarua side compared to the Nyahururu side, and it is being addressed. We would like to see a proper approach where water is affordable and accessible to all Kenyans. So is there a deadline? Is there a target? It is something that my ministry is working on very closely.
You're working on, but we don't have a timeline for...
I would say it is something we'd want to see before end of this year properly addressed.
Okay. Establish a national water harvesting policy in every village and or estate as part of the 5-year investment plan, and oblige all new developments to include water harvesting programs.
That is the mandate of the new Water Harvesting and Storage Authority. That is part of the legislation that was passed yesterday, and we intend to move with speed to ensure the board is in place and they are able to execute their mandate accordingly.
Introduce a system of fiat rate water charges on an area basis with informal settlements receiving services for free.
That is achievable so far. We've been
achievable, but a challenge, isn't it?
It is a challenge. It is a challenge, but I'm happy that in some informal settlement areas where they were buying a 20-liter jerrycan for over 10 to 15 shillings, they are now buying water at 2 shillings. But still, once we do the piping and everything, that should come even below that.
It goes back to the question one of our viewers asked: why are we still buying water in independent Kenya?
It's really the infrastructure that we are still developing, and in many areas we haven't reached. They still have those challenges, but we are doing something about it, particularly the informal settlements. I was in the Blue Valley in Embu town And the Water Service Trust Fund has done quite a bit to ensure access to water through kiosks in these informal areas. And they're getting water at 2 shillings per 20-litre jerrycan. At least accessibility is increasing. But what do we want?
Affordability.
Yes, it's affordability now. That is the challenge. Review
international treaties that address water supply management in order to serve the best interests of the Kenyan people.
That we are addressing. We have the Nile Treaty that was one-sided, and we are engaging with all our other riparian states to address it so that it is balanced and our national interest is also taken into account.
Okay. Now, the other water provisions, say for instance, encouraging enterprise through these special industrial parks, and so, facilitating small businesses by providing access to water. Have you quantified? I think you've quantified the health burden,
yes,
of lack of access to water. But have you quantified, given that this year's theme for World Water Day was better water and jobs,
yes, have
you quantified how much we're losing as a country through employment opportunities linked to water?
I think one area that we are very concerned about is the non-revenue water, because we are losing almost 42% of the water that would actually be generating revenue. It means the water we are supplying, we're not able to account for almost half of it. And this is one area that we are losing a lot of revenue. This is one area that we are losing a lot of opportunities that would have created jobs and contributed to the economy. We are trying to see how we can address this challenge through technology, improved technology, and also partnering with our development partners who in their countries have brought the issue of non-revenue water to a minimal percentage of almost 5. We are at over 42%, almost 50% of our water is unaccounted for. So it's an area that we are addressing seriously.
Okay, so we're running out of time, and before we let you go, I'll put a question to you that one of our viewers sent, and the viewer said, congratulations, Bwana CS, you're doing very well. Remain in the ministry because you're doing a good job there. Do not go back into politics.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's good advice.
Yes, it's good advice for free. But is this the end of your political career?
When I took this job, I made it very clear to Parliament that I am a politician, and I come from a political family. My late father was a senator, and after that my late brother became member of Parliament. And I have been a member of Parliament, served in the previous administration as Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs. I'm honored to serve in this administration as the Minister in charge of water. But my term was up to the end of Uhuru Kenyatta's term next year. After that, I intend to go back where I came from, to the political trenches, and I'll be very grateful to have.
In what form?
I would be making that position known from next year. For now, my focus is on serving all Kenyans in all the 47 counties to ensure they enjoy their constitutional right of access to water, to ensure they are free from hunger through developing our irrigation subsector, and contributing to our national food security. But come 2017, I'll be back in politics, and I will be able to tell Kenyans what office I'll be running for. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll come to the panelists now. We've been talking about accessing clean, safe water. Do you think that Jubilee, the government, has lived up to its promise?
Well, my assessment is that I think a lot is going on, and I think the CS is really thoroughly engaged and informed and on top of the situation in that ministry. I would rank him very well. In that,
he's an able technocrat.
Yes, I would rank him very well. In fact, the advice being offered there, he should think very seriously about it. Although I know where his heart is, and it's okay. but a lot needs to be accomplished. I mean, there is work going on, but accomplishments, I think, are going to be in the longer term, and it's understandable. But I just ask myself the question, free education, primary education, you're going to secondary education, why not free water? I mean, education and life ought to be in accompaniment of each other. And perhaps the next government should be talking about free water for all. And I don't know whether that is in the works.
Is that, what do you think?
What we are working on is water for all schools. As soon as we complete the electricity for all schools, which is, we are at the tail end of it. Once we've connected all our schools to power, the next thing we want to look at is to ensure that all our schools have water. Then all our schools have title deeds. All our schools are digitalized. So we have several programs that will be running. And once we have all the 22,000 schools in Kenya with water, that by itself is one strategy that would really increase access, will increase the quality of life, because many communities' lives rotate around their schools. That is where their children go to school. That is where some of them go to church. That is where they vote. And that water will not only be for the students and the teachers, it will also be for the community. But the issue of free water is not on the cards for now. I think
why not?
Because the constitutional requirement is for access. It is not, the constitution does not say free water.
Yeah, it is.
And water needs to be, we have to accept, you know, the traditional sense, in the traditional African setup, water was a free thing. Even if you went to your enemy's home, you say at least, you should give him at least water,
yes,
even if you didn't want
exactly.
it. But looking at the 21st century and where we are going, that culture has to change. Kenyans must know water is not free. Water is essential. Water is essential, but it cannot be free. It cannot be free.
I think it's possible for water to be free. That's what I hold, and I think perhaps that is homework to take to the policymakers to think about the next free thing they want to give. They want to give Kenyans, because that has a universal utility for everybody. If you look at how many people are bottling water and the companies that are beginning to participate in the private enterprise of water, you get a sense that people are being taken advantage of. And the more water is scarce, the more business thrives that is bottled and commercialized, which I think, being a basic need that you survive because of water, government should be doing that. And urban centers ought to be providing water at least to public areas so that people don't die.
Yes. But what we're trying to do is really to reduce government role and encourage private sector coming in. I think this is where we're coming from. And looking at the 202 water sector reforms, this is the direction we're going to. Bring in more private sector, let autonomous bodies run the water, let it be run professionally, and this improves access, it improves management. But when we go back to the old days where municipal councils were running the water themselves, there were issues of corruption. But the minute you now bring in private sector and all these systems are run and the issues of governance are addressed, this is what boosted donor confidence. Okay. It made the water sector more attractive.
You've made that
attracting
point.
More funding.
You've made that point.
But when you make it free, it will the private sector will be off.
So, and that's the point I want to explore. What do you mean by making water free versus private sector? Because the private sector then is at liberty to set water prices. So what, in terms of access to water, is an acceptable cost for accessing water?
Access is a constitutional right. The state has a role to play to ensure that water is accessible.
Therefore, what do you mean by that?
Therefore, affordability is
it
also...
5 kilometers away? Is it 1 kilometer away?
Yes.
You know, I mean, what do you mean by accessible?
Accessible is in ensuring wherever a Kenyan lives, he can be able to get water. That water should also be affordable. That water should be of safe drinking quality.
Which is what my point.
Yes.
That most of that water, which comes through self-help groups and all those corporations you're talking about, it is not fit for drinking from the tap.
Yes.
Either you boil it or you want by bottled water.
Yes.
That's why everybody goes now with bottles of water.
Yes.
Because the water from the tap is not worth drinking.
Yes. But that's why we have these infrastructure developments we are doing right now, the water treatment plants and all this, to ensure not just the supply but also the quality of the water.
The corruption you talked about earlier, where they, instead of putting chlorine, they come and put some crap. That used to happen in the Nairobi City Council. Correct. And that is happening in the villages.
Yes.
Where that treatment work is supposed to be, no treatment. It just comes from the
let me just step in, just so we stop arguing about this. The last performance report on Kenya's water services sector talks about the right to water, implying physical access to a water outlet in urban areas with a 30-minute cycle, and in rural within a distance of 2 kilometers.
Yes.
Now, Mutegi, on the point of affordability, regulated, but no more than 5% of household income as a maximum. Are you working towards that?
Yes, we're working towards that. And where Kenyans are complaining of very high tariffs, it's an issue of concern to us, and we're addressing it through WASREB to ensure that Kenyans are able to access and afford the water that is being supplied.
Okay.
What about treatment?
Treatment is also being done, and for every water supply. Actually, most of the infrastructure development going on, whether it is the Northern Collector Tunnel, we have a water treatment plant that is being built by the French, and in Mombasa, as we're doing the Mwacha one, we again have a water treatment plant coming with it, so that the quality is as important as the quantity, because they're both constitutional rights. And in areas where we've had groundwater, like in Marsabit, we were doing test boreholes, but because of the scarcity of water, Kenyans started using that water. Then we got complaints of some medical concerns, and we had to bring in Warma to address that, because if a Kenyan died because of consuming bad water, really that falls back on us.
And a lot of our time is up, but management of both water boards, yes, and the services we're talking about, there seems to be a problem about the efficiency. Basically they're not functioning very well. Some of them have overstayed. Actually, I'm just alerted that in my own area, yes, and Zoya Water Board has been on for 5 years, yes, when it ought to have been on for 3 years. What management and governance issues are you addressing here?
That's correct. The water companies, where the water boards are really one of the greatest developments in the water sector reforms of 2002-2010. And I'm pleased to tell you that our former president will be honored by UNESCO for those water sector reforms. We will be going with him to France. He will be appointed the UNESCO World Water Ambassador because of the water sector reforms of the decade when he was in power.
The person who should get the credit is Martha Karua.
Yes.
She's the one who was a minister.
Martha was the minister, and we had John Munyes was the assistant, and I've invited both of them. I would like them to be part of the team that brought these reforms. And the water boards that came based on the water basins, yes, is really what revolutionized the water sector. Yes. It removed all the corruption and the mismanagement that was there before, streamlined the sector, boosted donor confidence, and attracted funding.
Yeah.
And it's now attracting the private sector.
But there are governance issues among those.
There are governance issues. Even as we speak.
Appointments to those boards,
yes, and
the efficiency of the services they're delivering.
Yes. Now there is the role of the county governments, because the water companies are actually owned by the county governments, but the boards are national entities. Yes. So it is something, I agree with you, we need to address. It's a matter of concern that we need to work with the county governments to address the issues of management.
Okay, so now we're winding up. Mutegi, your thoughts. Has the Jubilee government delivered on its promise to make clean, safe water accessible?
I think the minister came when there was
the cabinet secretary.
When this minister came months ago, the minister has been missed.
The ministry? The
ministry has been missed. From other Karua, other people came, which will disorganize these systems. And I think he's doing a good job to set them straight. As he admitted, he found a lot of crap in Kulalu and other places where they are doing dams for business, like the Syrian Dam and others. I think he's on the right path. He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. Okay, fine. So the final word to you, your final thoughts as we wind up. Anything more you need to let us know?
I think just to assure Kenyans that the Jubilee government is determined to ensure that all pledges made are fulfilled, including the pledge of water and sanitation for all, including the pledge of ensuring our national food security through 1 million acres under irrigation. We are on track, and we want to assure Kenyans that we intend to achieve this. Thank you.
Okay. Our time is up, and so we thank you for your time on Cheche as our guest this morning. That was the Cabinet Secretary for Water and Irrigation, Eugene Wamawa. Our thanks also to our panelists, Mutegi Njau and David Makali. Thank you for watching Cheche. My name is Udwa Kamimo. We'll see you next week.